Bigfoot. It's a Bigfoot.
Encounters in the wild are often massive, fleeting, and leave behind evidence that defies logic. From vehicles being shredded by impossible bite marks to trail cams capturing giant primate-like hands, these moments blur the line between myth and reality. Are these just misidentified animals, or is something truly ancient watching us from the shadows? A group of friends in Russia was driving when their vehicle collided with a truck in front of them. Moments later, one of the girls started recording the situation on her phone. While filming, the camera picked up something unusual near the side of the road.
Заблокируй машину, пожалуйста, только не дергайте. Да куда заводить? Мы никуда не поедем.
Блин, посигнали ему, чтобы он сюда пошел.
Да как я по сигнале? Может, он сам сидит на измене? Давайте, пожалуйста, позвоним кому-нибудь ментам или кому-нибудь честно звоните.
In the trees, a large dark figure appeared, tall with long arms clearly visible against the tree line. The video ends without any explanation. What do you think that figure was? In September 2004, a hiker filmed this video near Hoodoo Creek in eastern Oregon, roughly 10 miles north of Granite near the North Fork John Day Wilderness. Over the course of 3 days, campers in the area described several unusual incidents. On the first day, a large dark figure estimated at 7 to 8 feet tall was seen running downhill through dense brush. On the second day, a reddish upright figure was reportedly observed trailing a witness near the campsite. By the third day, branches were thrown downhill, and loud screams were heard echoing from a nearby canyon. Some later questioned whether the hiker had captured the same figure others reported while camping nearby. But what do you think was actually moving through those woods? While walking through the forest, this individual came across something unsettling. Ahead of him, a large brown figure slowly moved up a hill. The hiker quickly captured the moment before leaving the area as quickly as possible. Later, he shared the footage online where viewers began questioning its authenticity. Some believe unusual things like this can appear during remote hiking or camping. But was the figure real, or was it staged? In late winter, a man was hiking through a remote valley in Colorado, an isolated area far from any homes. While recording the view from a high rocky outcrop, he suddenly noticed something unusual. 2 dark figures were moving across the valley below. They appeared large with broad shoulders and long arms. Moments later, they vanished into the trees. Feeling uneasy, the man quickly left the area. Some viewers say strange things like this are sometimes reported by people exploring or camping in remote wilderness. But what do you think those figures really were? In September 2015, in the small town of Enid, Oklahoma, something unusual started happening at a local car dealership called Green Country Ford. Employees arrived to find several vehicles heavily damaged. Bumpers and fenders had been ripped off, deep bite marks cut into the metal, and clumps of fur with traces of blood were left behind. Police opened an investigation and suspected a large white dog might be responsible, but it was difficult to explain how an animal could cause that level of damage. Despite overnight searches with spotlights and patrols, the animal was never found, and the incidents continued. More vehicles were damaged, and repair costs quickly increased. People began to speculate about what could be behind it. Some pointed to the force of the damage and the repeated visits. Others wondered if something else might have been roaming nearby, like stories sometimes shared in quiet towns or camping areas. But what do you think was really responsible? Content creator Keith was alone in the remote wilderness on a solo metal detecting trip. As he moved deeper into the forest, the silence was suddenly broken by something unusual.
Work on my way back.
While heading back, a loud sound echoed through the trees, unlike anything he had heard before. It didn't match any known animal call, and the source never showed itself. Some viewers say sounds like this are sometimes reported during hiking or camping in remote areas. But if you heard that echo in the woods, what do you think made it? Reddit user Kara8. Bishop was browsing Zillow when she came across a listing in New Hampshire, a quiet house deep in the woods. At first, the photos looked normal, but one image seemed unusual. In the background, a shape appeared that didn't seem to belong. When she zoomed in, it looked like a figure standing near the property. Some viewers suggested it might be Bigfoot captured in the photo. Others believe it was simply a trick to attract attention. What do you think that figure really was? This experience took place on May 13, 2017, at 4:31 p.m. The man had been camping completely off-grid in Barkhead Mountains National Forest near Asheboro, North Carolina. Heavy rain had passed through the area that day, and he was nearly 10 miles from his vehicle. When he first arrived, the parking area was empty, with no other vehicles or signs of hikers or campers. While hiking uphill along a steep muddy trail covered in red Carolina clay, he suddenly noticed something unusual. Pressed into the ground was a line of large humanoid footprints, measuring roughly 15 to 20 inches long. The tracks came from a brush-covered hillside, crossed the trail in front of him, and disappeared into thick forest. At the time, he didn't believe in Bigfoot and assumed there must be a logical explanation. But later that night while camping, he woke to disturbing screams, gurgling noises, and strange moans echoing through the trees. Feeling uneasy, he packed up and left in the dark. Some viewers say moments like this can happen during remote camping trips, but what do you think he really heard that night? In 2016, Don Avon was in a wooded area somewhere in the United States, though the exact location was never revealed. While outside, he noticed a strange figure ahead of him. The shape did not appear human. It looked larger than normal, with long arms and a slow, lumbering walk. Don recorded a short video before the figure moved out of view. Later, only a single screenshot from the footage was shared online. Some viewers say moments like this can happen during remote hiking or camping trips. But if the full video existed, what do you think it might have shown? This video was featured on the Finding Bigfoot show on Animal Planet and filmed in a wooded area in Ohio.
We got to get out of here. We're too close.
The footage shows a tall humanoid-shaped figure shaking a tree deep in the forest. As the movement continues, the cameraman slowly moves closer to the scene. Soon after, the recording cuts off with no explanation of what happened next. Some viewers say moments like this occur during remote camping, but what do you think was behind that shaking tree? In 2006, a sister and brother were hiking through forests near Tofino. While walking deeper through the dense woods, they suddenly noticed something unexpected ahead of them. In the distance, a figure could be seen standing among the trees.
Wait, stay back!
Later, they described the shape as humanoid, around 7 feet tall and roughly 50 meters away. The footage itself only shows a brief, dark figure, which at first glance could resemble a bear. However, the siblings said the figure moved away almost immediately after the camera was raised. They also insisted its movement didn't match that of a bear. What do you think they really saw standing in those woods that day? These two photos were taken by different people at different times in Virginia and were later shared on Reddit. Many commenters noticed how similar the figures looked, with some suggesting it could even be the same Bigfoot appearing in both images. Others disagreed, saying the first photo clearly resembled a black bear. The lower image was described as blurry and unclear, making it harder to judge. Several users with wildlife experience explained that both pictures match the appearance and movement of a young black bear, possibly with summer fur or mange. They also noted that bears can look surprisingly human-like when standing or stretching. Because of this, most people concluded the images likely show bears, not Bigfoot. What do you think the figures in those photos really were? A man was working on his property while his children played nearby. During that time, they noticed movement behind a cactus at the edge of the yard.
That's that sun is over here. Oh, this is a cactus. Yo, I saw something, didn't you? Like, I don't know what it was. Actually, it's Bigfoot. Guys, did you see that? I think I should get out of here, right?
The figure seemed to shift briefly in the background. The shape stayed behind the cactus for a short moment before disappearing from sight. They were unable to clearly identify what they had seen. The family eventually left the area soon after. Some viewers say moments like this are sometimes reported near quiet rural homes or even during nearby hiking and camping trips. But what do you think was moving behind that cactus? The Yowie is described as a large, human-like creature from Aboriginal folklore, often reported in remote areas of Australia. Dean Harrison of Australian Yowie Research says he has gathered hundreds of reports over more than 20 years, many describing similar size, appearance, and loud calls. Recent stories include a woman in Queensland who said she was pushed during a bushwalk, and a truck driver who reported seeing a tall figure cross the road. Some say encounters like this are sometimes mentioned during hiking or camping trips in remote areas. But what do you think could be behind these reports? A man recording his dogs in the eastern Sierra accidentally captured a dark figure watching from the trees. The footage, later submitted to the Rocky Mountain Sasquatch organization, shows the figure moving smoothly at nearly 10,000 feet, its stride too steady and natural to resemble a person in clothing. A domed head, dark fur, and an upright posture match many long-standing reports from the region. Even the dog briefly reacts before returning to play, adding to the mystery. Did this witness capture a genuine Sierra Nevada Bigfoot, or something else moving through the high country? In the forests of Alberta, where local indigenous groups have long spoken of strange beings, Mark discovered an odd shelter made of branches near Crescent Falls. After setting up a trail camera, he returned to find the area disturbed and the shelter torn apart. Reviewing the footage, he saw large upright figures moving between the trees, their tall shapes shifting through the dense forest. These beings resemble the Kiwakatan said to roam the region, raising the question of whether he captured real evidence or simply a mystery the woods aren't ready to explain. While driving along a quiet forest road in British Columbia, a woman spotted a strange figure standing motionless by the roadside.
Can you see it? Bigfoot. It's a Bigfoot. Holy.
As she slowed down, she focused on the tall, shadowy shape, whose massive build and dark outline seemed far too large to be human, blending eerily with the surrounding trees.
Not the best. That is the best thing ever. That's the best thing ever.
The sight left her frozen in disbelief as the figure remained completely still, its size and proportions unlike anything she had ever encountered. The moment filled her with both fear and awe, leaving her wondering whether she had seen an ordinary person in unusual lighting or come face to face with the legendary Bigfoot itself. While hiking alone in daylight, a traveler recorded something unsettling. A tall, dark figure moving quietly between the trees. Its size and movement seemed far from human. And as the camera steadied, the figure appeared again, seemingly carrying a deer carcass across the forest floor. Tension built as the hiker hesitated between continuing to film or running, leaving a lingering question: was this a misidentified animal, or a rare glimpse of the creature behind the Bigfoot legend? A man entered the forest with a thermal camera, hoping to reveal whatever might be hidden among the trees. Through the thermal view, a slender, stealthy figure appeared, moving with an unsettling familiarity through the branches, unlike any typical animal. Driven by curiosity, he turned off the camera, returning the woods to darkness, only to see two glowing eyes staring at him from a distance. The moment left him wondering what kind of creature was still out there watching. A curious trail cam recording from 2020 has sparked renewed discussion among viewers and researchers. The uploader shared it after noticing something unusual close to the camera. When examined frame by frame, a massive hand briefly comes into view, appearing partly human, yet oddly primate-like, much larger and more worn than expected. Some suggest it could belong to Bigfoot, while others argue it might be another unknown creature or a convincing hoax. The uploader also notes the bone structure does not match a human hand. High above the tree line, something moved along a distant ridge, something far too large to be a hiker.
I don't see it.
Moving now.
Trees? It's to the right of them. They're just walking that way.
What trees?
Trees?
You
Okay. See the King's Castle?
In June 2001, while leading a youth hiking group, Jim Mills noticed the unusual figure and zoomed in with his camera, revealing a towering, upright shape walking steadily along the rocky slope. Its height, width, and balanced stride seemed unlike any human or bear, and the figure eventually disappeared calmly into the forest below.
2 trees to the left of King's Castle. See King's Castle?
Yeah. He's shaking his fist at us.
He's right in between the 2 trees.
The clip, now known as the Marble Mountain footage, is often considered one of the longest and clearest daytime Bigfoot recordings ever captured, showing a broad, confident figure moving across the hillside without hesitation. If Bigfoot truly exists in the wild, this may be one of the most revealing glimpses ever seen, leaving many to wonder whether the figure caught on camera was something ordinary or something far more extraordinary. A recent forest recording has drawn attention for capturing what appears to be an encounter between a lone hiker and something unknown. According to the uploader, the hiker noticed movement behind a bush and began recording, expecting a large animal. Instead, a tall, dark, bipedal figure came into view and suddenly rushed toward him, forcing him to run and shut off the camera. Because the clip ends abruptly, what happened afterward remains unclear. Some believe it was a territorial response, a behavior often mentioned in Bigfoot reports, while others think it was simply a warning. Was this a true encounter with a protective creature or something else entirely? This clip was shared on Instagram by Squatch is Real. In the winter of 1969, residents of Bossburg discovered more than 1,000 large barefoot tracks after heavy snowfall. The prints crossed frozen fields, roads, and wooded areas, and were documented with photographs and plaster casts. They appeared overnight and stretched across open land without interruption. One foot looked normal, while the other showed a clear deformity that affected how it pressed into the snow. The tracks showed shifts in weight, toe spread, and depth consistent with natural walking. Researcher Renee Dahinden and anthropologist Grover Krantz examined the trail, but as the snow melted, the entire trackway disappeared without leaving further evidence. Some viewers believed it could be Bigfoot, while others thought it was just tracks made by a person or something staged. What do you think it really was? A teenager was hiking alone in a remote forest in the United States when he heard movement ahead and started recording. The camera captured a large primate-like figure moving low on all fours, briefly crossing and blocking the path. In several frames, the body appears bulky, with what looks like fur stretched tight over it, and visible muscle movement beneath. It did not clearly resemble a bear, but its exact identity remains uncertain. The teenager quickly turned and ran, while the figure stayed back among the trees. He never gave a clear explanation of what he believed he had seen. What do you think he actually encountered? In 1987, 16-year-old Teresa Ann Byer from Fresno disappeared during a camping trip in Ghost Canyon near Shut-Eye Peak in the Sierra Nevada. She had gone into the mountains with 43-year-old Russell Skip Welch, an older acquaintance she had been spending time with. Days later, Welch returned alone. At first, he told police Teresa had run away, but later his account changed, and he claimed she had been taken by Bigfoot. When search teams reached the area, they found a campsite that seemed unusual. Some items appeared staged, and there was no clear indication of where Teresa had gone. Despite extensive ground and air searches, no trace of her was ever discovered. A helicopter later located Welch's shirt in the area, which tested positive for meth. Welch was charged with child stealing but was eventually released, and no further charges were upheld. Over time, the case went cold. Many investigators believe Teresa likely became the victim of foul play, and that the Bigfoot claim was used as a distraction. Still, among some cryptid communities, the story continues, with some suggesting her disappearance is often referenced in discussions of alleged Bigfoot abduction cases. Nearly 4 decades later, Teresa Ann Byer has never been found, and what happened in Ghost Canyon remains unresolved. A hunter had set up a trail camera deep in the woods, hoping to capture signs of wildlife. One weekend, he returned to review the footage while preparing for his next trip into the backcountry. That is when he noticed something unusual. A large, dark figure could be seen walking upright, moving through the trees. Surprised by what he found, he shared the footage online and asked others to help identify what had been recorded. He wondered whether it could be Bigfoot or simply someone playing a prank. The hunter stated that the area was remote, far into the woods, and that only a few people even knew where the camera had been placed. What do you think was captured on that camera? A Reddit user named Jacob Abraham was hiking off trail when he noticed something that at first looked like a bear. He pulled out his phone to record, but as he watched it move, he began to think it was not a bear. Even then, he could not clearly identify what it was. He later showed the footage to a friend who suggested sharing it online. Some viewers believed it could be Bigfoot, while others thought it was just a bear seen from a strange angle. What do you think he actually recorded? A Reddit user known as Sasquatchballs45 shared a video sent by a friend from a hunting lease near Hanabaya. The friend spotted a dark figure walking upright through the trees and recorded it until it disappeared, never seeing it again. Some viewers said it looked similar to Bigfoot. What do you think it was? In the 1980s, deep in the forests of Alberta, a lone camper noticed something moving in the distance and quickly started recording. The short clip he captured shows a large bipedal figure walking through the trees. It does not resemble a man and does not match any known animal from the area. The figure moves steadily through the forest, but its identity remains unclear even after closer viewing. The footage has never been fully explained, leaving the moment unresolved to this day. Some viewers pointed out that the height upright movement and broad shape seem similar to common Bigfoot descriptions. What do you think it was?
That's it for tonight. Which moment creeped you out the most? Drop it in the comments. Have your own story? Share it with us, and stay tuned. The next one is even darker.